There are moments in life that feel like echoes. You meet someone for the first time and yet their presence vibrates with ancient familiarity. Their voice calms something inside you that you didn't know was restless. Their eyes, when they meet yours, seem to recognize a version of you that doesn't quite belong to this present moment. This is not fantasy. This is memory, disguised in the form of feeling. Dr. Brian Weiss taught us that love is not bound by time, nor confined to a single lifetime. Through his deep work in past life regression, he revealed that the soul remembers more than we do. Behind the veil of our everyday awareness, there is a continuity, a sacred thread linking lifetimes, encounters, and loves. You've loved this person before, not just in a poetic sense, but in a tangible vibrational truth. Can you feel it? Beneath the logical mind, below the stories we tell ourselves to make sense of the world, there is another kind of knowing, subtle, quiet, and undeniable. This knowing speaks when we are silent. It appears in the spaces between thoughts, in the stillness that lingers after a dream, or in the sudden, inexplicable emotion that rises when someone you just met touches your soul in a way that no one else ever has. That is the whisper of remembrance. According to Weiss, when souls reincarnate, they often do so in clusters. Soul groups return together across lifetimes, weaving intricate patterns of connection and learning. The people closest to us now, those who inspire us, challenge us, even hurt us, may have walked beside us before, under different names and bodies, but carrying the same essence, the same eternal light. And so when you meet someone and feel an unexplainable bond, do not rush to label it coincidence or chemistry. Sit with it. Breathe into the sensation. Close your eyes and ask your soul, is this someone I once loved? The answer may not come in words. It may come as warmth, as tears, as silence filled with meaning. Brian Weiss reminds us that love is the compass through which the soul navigates. Love is not an emotion. It is a memory of oneness, a pull back toward what is real and eternal. When you feel drawn to someone in a way that defies logic, it may be your soul recognizing theirs, across the ocean of time. Time itself is not linear to the soul. Our lifetimes do not unfold like chapters in a book, but like ripples in a vast and simultaneous ocean. The one you feel drawn to today might have been your child in one life, your mentor in another, or your beloved in a place so ancient it no longer has a name. That recognition is not illusion. It is sacred memory. What if you began to trust those moments of deep resonance? What if instead of dismissing them, you allowed them to guide you inward into the timeless part of yourself? What if these soul connections were not rare accidents, but invitations to remember, to awaken, to love with the full knowledge of who you are beneath your forgetting? The person you feel inexplicably connected to. Perhaps they have always been with you. Perhaps you promised to find each other again. Perhaps this very moment is the continuation of a love story that began long before your first breath. Let this be your beginning of remembering, of sensing, of seeing through the eyes of your soul. Long before words were formed, before history etched itself onto the skin of time, there was the silent language of the soul, a way of knowing without speaking, of remembering without evidence. This is the language you once spoke, and it is the same language you still carry deep within you, though modern life has taught you to forget. Have you ever felt a sense of belonging in the presence of a stranger? A gentle calm that settles into your chest, as if the air between you holds something sacred. That sensation is not random, it is resonance. And resonance is the soul's way of saying, I know you. Brian Weiss spoke often of this phenomenon. He called it soul recognition, a moment when the veil thins and two beings see each other not through the eyes of the ego, but through the eternal lens of spirit. These moments do not shout. They hum softly like distant music you recognize even if you can't recall the lyrics. To the mind, such connections may seem confusing, irrational even, but to the heart they are clear and ancient truths. When you look into the eyes of someone and feel that pull, you're not looking into their physical form. You're remembering their energy. You are seeing the echo of 1,000 yesterdays. You are witnessing the continuation of a bond that time could not break. There is a rhythm to soul connections. They do not obey linear timelines or social expectations. They move in spirals, appearing when you are ready, when your soul has reached the right frequency to meet them once more. Sometimes, that readiness comes through pain, through solitude, through spiritual searching. Other times, it comes in moments of surrender, when you stop trying to control your path and begin to trust the current of existence. In one of his regressions, Dr. Weiss guided a patient who encountered a man she had never met in this life, but felt inexplicably drawn to. Through the session, she uncovered lifetimes with him, as lovers, as siblings, as teacher and student. Each life served a different lesson, but the bond remained. That, he explained, is how souls evolve, through shifting roles, through mutual growth, always guided by love. It is important to remember, just because a soul feels familiar doesn't mean the relationship will be easy. Sometimes we meet those we've loved before to resolve unfinished lessons. Sometimes they mirror our shadows to help us heal. The presence of a soul connection doesn't guarantee harmony, but it always guarantees transformation. The soul is endlessly patient. It waits across centuries. It does not rush, but it always remembers. And so, when someone enters your life and awakens something dormant, whether joy or pain, whether peace or longing, pay attention. They may be carrying a message. They may be returning to fulfill a vow made long ago, or perhaps they have come simply to remind you of who you are beyond this moment. This world distracts us with its noise and urgency, but soul memory is quiet. To access it, we must slow down. Listen, feel, trust, sit in stillness, and let the remembrance come, not as a thought, but as a knowing, as vibration. The truth is not far from you. It is not in the past nor in the future. It is in this very breath, in this sacred encounter between souls. And when you begin to hear the soul's language again, you will realize it never stopped speaking. You just forgot how to listen. Every connection you encounter in this life is purposeful. Whether fleeting or lasting, joyful or painful, each one is a thread woven by your soul, carrying the weight of lessons chosen long before you arrived in this body. Love, in its highest form, is not merely an emotion. It is a vessel for growth, a mirror through which the soul sees itself more clearly. Brian Weiss often emphasized that we do not meet people by accident. Encounters are orchestrated with precision, based on the evolution of our spirit and the agreements made in that in-between space, before incarnation, when our souls, free of ego, choose what they need to learn next. These agreements are sacred. Sometimes they are gentle, sometimes they shake us awake. Think of the one who broke your heart, the one who stayed by your side, the one who challenged every part of you. Now ask, what were they reflecting back to you? What did your soul ask them to show you? It is through others that we confront the parts of ourselves we might otherwise avoid. The fear of abandonment, the hunger for acceptance, the shadow of self-doubt. Love draws these to the surface not to harm, but to illuminate. And once seen, the soul cannot unsee. Some souls come to awaken your courage, others your forgiveness. Some bring you joy simply to remind you that life is sacred. Others trigger your wounds so that you may finally begin to heal what has been waiting through lifetimes. This is the alchemy of relationship. Two energies, meeting at a precise moment, not to complete each other but to reveal what is still fragmented, to remind you of your wholeness through contrast, through reflection, through the mysterious choreography of fate. The one you've loved before may not arrive in the same form. A different face, a different voice, a different role. But the vibration is unmistakable. You'll feel it in the stillness between words, in the synchronicities that seem to multiply in their presence, in the way time bends when you are near them, how minutes stretch into eternities and hours vanish like mist. And yet, even with that deep recognition, not every love is meant to last in this life. Some reunions are brief, a soft glance across a room, a conversation that lingers long after it ends, a fleeting kiss that carries the weight of centuries. These moments are not lesser, they are complete. They are precisely what was promised. Weiss reminds us that the soul does not measure time as the human mind does. The significance of a connection is not determined by its duration, but by its depth, by the transformation it ignites within you. One moment of soul remembrance can shift the entire axis of your being. The pain of separation, too, holds purpose. It teaches us to love beyond attachment, to feel the presence of a soul even in their absence. True love does not need proximity to exist. It vibrates across lifetimes like a beacon, a signal, a prayer. So when love leaves, it does not end. It returns to the soul, where it is stored, cherished, remembered. And when the time is right, you will meet again. You always do, in a different skin, on a different path, but with the same knowing. Until then, carry the lesson. Carry the love. And, above all, carry the awareness that every soul you touch is part of your becoming. There is no wasted connection, only sacred encounters, only the echo of love, returning home. When we enter this life, we pass through a veil, a soft, invisible curtain that gently erases the memory of where we came from and of those we once loved. It is not punishment. It is design. To remember everything would be to miss the experience of rediscovery, of wonder, of finding the sacred in the seemingly mundane. But the forgetting is never complete. There are cracks in the veil, small, luminous openings where light from past lives spills into the present, through dreams, déjà vu, and those unexplainable longings for someone or somewhere you can't quite name. These are not accidents. They are the soul speaking to you in symbols, in emotions, in frequencies, too subtle for the rational mind to grasp. Weiss spoke of these cracks often. In his regressions, ordinary people, engineers, teachers, skeptics, would close their eyes and remember lives they had no logical reason to know. And within those lives, they would recognize the souls they walked beside today. A husband in this life had once been a daughter. A best friend had once been a rival. A lost child had once been a teacher. The roles shift, but the essence remains. This is the dance of soul evolution. When you feel a strange nostalgia for someone you've just met, or a sudden grief when they walk away, it is the past seeping into the present. It is your eternal self, remembering what your temporal self has forgotten. The love was real. The loss was real. And now in this life the soul invites you to feel it again, not as suffering, but as awakening. The veil is necessary. Without it, the weight of past lives might overwhelm us. But in moments of deep stillness, in meditation, in silence, in surrender, it lifts just enough to remind us, you are more than this name, more than this story, more than this body. Have you ever dreamed of someone who felt more real than the waking world? Someone whose touch lingered on your skin after your eyes opened, whose voice echoed in your chest like a forgotten melody. These dreams are often more than imagination. They are meetings, reunions in the astral realm, places where the veil thins and love travels freely. The soul does not need words to recognize another. It listens through vibration. And when that vibration resonates across time, across dimension, the bond is reawakened. You feel seen. Not the surface version of you, but the essence behind the layers. Even in separation, these connections remain. Some will come and go in this life. Some will stay. Some will appear only once, but change you forever. The soul is not concerned with quantity, but with impact. A single glance can rewrite the story of your heart. And yet you don't need to chase these connections. You don't need to search through every face hoping to find the one you once knew. The soul has already arranged the meeting. The path is already carved. All you must do is be present, open, receptive to the signs. Trust that what is meant will arrive with perfect timing, not a second too soon or too late. In truth, you are never alone. The ones you have loved walk beside you, whether seen or unseen. They whisper in moments of quiet. They hold your hand in dreams. They guide your steps through intuition and subtle nudges. They are here, just beyond the veil. There is no true ending, only return. Only the soul's endless movement through lifetimes, reaching, remembering, releasing again and again. The love you feel, the bond that defies all logic, is not a one-time miracle. It is a rhythm, a pulse that echoes through the fabric of existence. You've loved this person before, you will love them again, not because fate demands it, but because love chooses it. In Brian Weiss's work, the idea of reincarnation was never a doctrine, it was a discovery, a return to a truth the soul has always known, that we are here to grow, to awaken, and to love more fully with each passing life. Our souls are not isolated journeys, but constellations of energy, constantly intersecting, evolving together. The person you remember without remembering, they are part of your constellation. In some lifetimes you may walk together hand in hand. In others, you may pass by like ships in the fog, your eyes meeting just long enough to spark a flicker of ancient fire. And even then, especially then, the connection holds meaning. No encounter is without purpose. No love is ever lost. You may wonder why, if souls return to each other, some are torn apart. Why do we lose those we love so deeply? Why must some goodbyes echo louder than any reunion? The answer lies not in punishment, but in expansion. Every goodbye is a doorway. Every ache is an opening. When love is taken from the physical realm, it continues to move through your energy field, reshaping you, deepening your perception. The loss is not the end. It is preparation for the next becoming, for the next remembering. Sometimes, the greatest love stories are not written in the ease of companionship, but in the sacred ache of separation. Sometimes the soul chooses absence to amplify presence, to make the heart a vessel large enough to hold eternity. And then, one day, unexpectedly, the return arrives. Not always in the way the mind expects. Sometimes it is a dream, a feeling, a soft knowing that blooms in your chest when you pass by a stranger's face, or hear a voice that stops you in your tracks. Sometimes it is in the eyes of a child, or in the warmth of your own laughter. Sometimes it is in the stillness, when everything falls away and you feel them, not as memory, but as presence. The soul does not forget. It stores everything, every touch, every vow, every silent gaze beneath the stars. These are not lost. They are imprinted in your energetic field, guiding you even now, shaping your path, calling you gently back to your essence. So when the feeling arises, the deep, familiar pull toward another, do not fear it. Do not dismiss it. Welcome it as a sacred signal. It may be the continuation of a story older than time, a love older than breath. And even if you walk separate roads in this lifetime, know this: the thread remains unbroken. You are both part of the same weaving. You are both returning home in your own way, in your own time. Trust that love is never wasted. Trust that every connection is sacred. Trust that even now, as you listen to these words, your soul is remembering. And if these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it.